The Arkansas trial that will determine if a state can ban gender-confirming procedures for transgender minors started yesterday. Today, I'm going to go over the law in question and also how the discussion over trans rights is being handled around the country. I'm Michele Carroll. Welcome to the News Diet. Yesterday was the start of one of the first trials in the U.S. regarding whether or not a state can ban gender-confirming procedures for people under 18. The state in this case is Arkansas, and the judge is U.S. District Judge Jay Moody, who originally blocked this bill last year after it passed the state legislature. The bill, which is called the Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act, or SAFE Act, bans procedures and treatments such as puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and sex reassignment surgery for minors. The bill also prohibits doctors from referring patients elsewhere for the services and bans the use of public funds, as well as bans insurance coverage for this purpose as well. The bill does provide exceptions for intersex medical interventions or patients going through complications from previous gender-related procedures. Doctors who violate these bans could be sued for damages or be professionally penalized. Judge Moody originally blocked the SAFE Act last year to allow for this lawsuit first, which was filed by the American Civil Liberties Union on behalf of the families of 4 transgender youth and 2 doctors who provide these services. Arkansas Governor Hutchinson also originally vetoed the bill, saying it went too far by including cutting off services for those currently in the middle of receiving them. Governor Hutchinson did, however, previously sign 2 other trans-related bills, one that would ban transgender girls from competing in women's sports teams in schools, and another that would allow doctors to opt out of offering gender-confirming procedures due to religious or moral objections. The subject of trans rights has become a mainstream issue in a really short time. Just a few years ago, this discussion was focused primarily on if transgendered people could just use the restrooms of the gender that they identify with. Now, the discussion covers a much wider range, including gender spectrums, the use of gender pronouns, athletics, the rights of schools versus the rights of parents, and then, of course, the rights of minors to receive gender-confirming medical services. With the expansion of the national discussion has come the expansion of politics and legislation. Federally, and even dozens of states have proposed or enacted laws regarding transgender issues. Some notable ones are former President Obama's executive order prohibiting employment discrimination by the federal government to include transgender people. And in 2016, the Department of Education interpreted the existing Title IX protections to include trans and non-binary students, meaning that schools were then required to use students' preferred names and pronouns, and also to allow these students to use bathrooms and locker rooms of the gender that they identified with. On the flip side, we also see bills, such as in Arkansas, that would ban gender confirmation procedures, or ones that ban educators from discussing topics around sex and gender to young students, as well as disallowing trans athletes to compete in sports of their gender identity. Many trans rights activists here support transgender youth embracing their gender identity, claiming that self and societal acceptance could help their mental health state, considering that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered suicide in the past year, according to the Trevor Project. The argument for allowing kids to transition young is that it could allow for a more affirming result if done before puberty. In regards to the Arkansas case, they point to the fact that several major medical groups also disagree with the idea of a procedure ban for minors. These groups include the American Medical Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics. They also claim that an outright ban is, quote, vast government overreach and takes the power away from parents and doctors to decide for themselves. Supporters of the bill say that children and teenagers aren't mature enough to be making these life-altering decisions at such a young age. They point to the fact that minors aren't even allowed to partake in many other and much less severe activities, such as drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, getting tattoos, or maybe even driving, because they aren't considered mature enough to handle these decisions. They also emphasize the lack of data for the long-term effects of these procedures, as well as the swift rise in claims of gender dysphoria or nonconformity conformity in young people, with the term social contagion even making the rounds. One such study is the 2015 U.S. Transgender survey, where more than 1/3 of its 28,000 respondents claimed they were some form of non-binary. Also, they point to cases of those who have detransitioned and regretted their choice to transition genders in the first place, and are now living with the physical effects the rest of their lives. In short, this trial is between the ACLU, who is arguing that the bill violates constitutional rights by discriminating against trans youth's access to medical care, and the state of Arkansas, who's arguing that it is within its rights to protect the children of the state if it feels they're being harmed. This trial will last 2 weeks and is expected to set the stage for how other states around the country may tackle this issue. You've just been informed, so now it's time to get on with your day. I'm Michele Carroll. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode and want to continue following a healthier alternative for staying informed, where I forgo partisan fighting and fear-driven narratives and just get to the point, then please be sure to hit that subscribe button, as of course you'll get more of this show in your feed, and also you'll be helping this new channel grow and reject sensational media. Thank you so much for your support, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode.